Kadri, your host on the Children's Time Show at Radio Dandal Kura on the meter 98.9 FM. Together with my colleague Aisha Esther Jamal and also with our usual guest, Amo H. Ishaku. You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Today we are discussing on the Day of an African Child, that is DAC, which was celebrated on Wednesday, 16th of June. Today I'm going to give the brief history of the Day of an African Child before Amo chip in. The Day of an African Child is celebrated on June 16 every year since 1991, when it was first initiated by the OAU organization, that's the Organization of African Unity. It honors the memory of the students who were massacred in Soweto, South Africa, for protesting against education injustice and gender inequality. So I'm chipping.
Okay. Approximately half of the African population is made up of children, as reports have shown us that Africa is home to 628 million children below the age of 18 and youths under 25, and that figure is quickly growing. But despite the young population, Africa still lacks in most indicators, including education. For example, children nowadays do not get the basic education they need, as most of them drop out of school before the age of 10. For example, in sub-Saharan Africa, 34 million children of primary school age are currently out of school. Majority of these children do not acquire the early childhood development they need. A large percentage lacks enough food, shelter, and even clothing. Now, this dynamic creates an urgent need for innovative and sustainable interventions that address barriers to children's and youth empowerment in Africa. It is vital that we promote the children's rights and secure their future as the continent aspires for economic and social development. Now, each year on June 16th, we commemorate the youths who were killed in the Soweto uprisings on June 16th in 1976, as more than 10,000 black children protested on the poor quality of education in their country. Hundreds were killed and thousands were injured. So, the government and other organizations decided to set a day aside to honor their victims. Now, the International Day of the African Child aims at promoting the rights of children all across Africa and all across African countries. Yes. And observing this day is a constant reminder to government, NGOs, and other stakeholders of the challenges faced by the African child. Investing in children's education is a very vital part in creating and sustaining a broad-based economic growth.
Of course, right from the
And also, it's a day that every African child-friendly justice in Africa. Yes. And also, it's a day that violence stops on every African child because of the children that were massacred for protesting against their rights. So it's a day that the violence stops on every African child and also get access to a child-friendly justice in Africa.
Yes.
Whereby they can say whatever is in their mind, whatever is disturbing them, and probably it will get solved.
Yes, it actually affects the kids the adults they will turn into. It will affect the adults the kids will turn into. Yes. Today's African child needs a role model and a mentor in all areas of development. So please, Nigerians, let's work hard to be constructive role models that the children can look up to. Because failure to bring in positive changes in areas of education, nutrition, and health to the child will negatively impact the society later on in the future, because the society is counting on the children now. So whatever is being done to them leaves a permanent mark and a permanent trait that they will grow up with, and that's what they will use.
And that would be the scar of an African child. Wherever you saw an African child, he doesn't know his right, he's poor, like everything that they used to describe the blacks.
Yes, that's what they say.
Just what
day
he would
that
be
every
addressed.
African child gets access to a child-friendly justice system.
Yes, and look at, in times of war, it's the children that suffer. It's the children that suffer crisis. It's the children that suffer lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of clothing, and lack of everything.
And of course, education, the most important.
Yes, and
schools were deserted, desolated. No school, no education for children, no help for heroes. You see children dying, walking on the soil of death. No help for heroes. Children really suffer during war.
It's so sad.
Yeah, and look at, it's the children that are also left orphans in times of war.
Yes.
Yes, look at all these children on the streets. Majority of them are orphans. And the most most painful part about it is that the adults don't even listen to the cry of the children.
And that's what exactly the aim of this day, right?
Yes,
the
it's to
voices of
promote
children
their
are meant
rights.
to be heard loudly in the nation.
Yes.
That's the main aim.
Yes, it's a day to promote their rights and secure also their future.
And their voices are meant to be heard loudly in the nation.
Alright, now listening to the discussion under show Children Can coming to you live on 90.9 FM Dandal, Kura, the voice of peace. And I'm together with Medina Abdulkadir and Amor Shaban. I hope you're enjoying the discussion. Well, shortly our lines will be open up where you can come in and share your thought on the topic. The lines are 0803075481 and 09016129967. We're discussing on the Day of the African Child, which was celebrated recently. That is 3 days back, right?
Yeah,
the 16th of June 2021. Alright, thank you very much for all you have contributed. Well, I want to ask this question. If this day is celebrated for all the African child in all the world, how can children know that yes, we're black and this our day?
It's simple, educating them. This day, apart from, I know schools have a role, but parents can say to their children that this is where history comes in. History is very important. How can we reach the future without knowing where we came from? You see, that's the problem of our day of today.
So we have to be educating the children.
Yes.
Yes.
What's right?
Yes. For example, now, it's just like you're going somewhere and we have our national heroes.
Yeah.
So now we are following them behind. So if they decide to stop, or if one of them falls and dies, now think about it. The youth is stranded because he doesn't know where we're heading to, and at the same time he doesn't know where we came from.
Of course, because the child is left behind.
Yes. So without history we cannot make tangible success, because the mission and the aim, that dream and that goal we want to achieve started back then. Yes. It started back then. So on this day, I know schools have they have a part. Schools need to teach history. Very important, and in a fun way. And apart from that, parents
I can remember during my school time, some students hate history class. Actually, it's like they say it's so boring. So yeah,
history should be like
it should be
time
taught
to gist. Yes. And our parents are coming from back then.
Yeah.
Our grandparents are also coming from back then. So this is an avenue and an opportunity for parents and grandparents to sit their children down and then to educate them about what the day is, and educate them about the history of Nigeria.
Yes.
We don't need to
And
teach
of course,
them.
the beautiful history and that is what the previous leaders did to Nigeria. Yes.
Yeah. Borno has a history. We don't need to teach children about taking them out of where they are. Africa starts from your location.
Yes.
Where we are now is Africa.
Of course.
Yes, wherever you go, you represent your country. So, parents, we don't need to teach our children about the history of Ghana, Cameroon, South Africa. No, Borno has a history. You can teach them about Borno, teach them about Nigeria. And also in schools, for example, story time. It's not always about story time is not always a time about the wise tortoise,
No.
the cunning fox. No, it's also this history are stories. It's
Just like we used to do in this show, actually, we taught a lot of stories that has morals and of course
an
which
impact to
would
the children.
an impact to the children.
Yes, you can in schools. Story time can be an opportunity to teach children about history. Yes, for example, the history of the World War, history of the Civil War, history of colonialism, and other histories about Nigeria.
Amma, thank you very much. Coming back to the issue of the Civil War, what impact does war have on the lives of the African child?
I mean, you're talking about negatively.
Yes, negatively.
It leaves scars on them. It leaves regret. It leaves them traumatized.
Especially the Civil War, right?
Yes, it leaves them traumatized. So, and for example, coming back to general war, you can see that all these crises of Boko Haram, you see they come and kill their parents in front of them, in front of the little children. So the children grow up feeling regrets and being traumatized. Yes. And before you know it, they kill innocent lives, because you cannot find the person that killed your parents. So at the end of the day, they end up killing innocent people too.
Yeah.
So,
all right, thank you very much, Medina. Sorry, Amo.
The theme of the Day of an African Child is 30 years after the adoption of the Charter. Accelerate the implementation of the Agenda 2040 for an African Fit for Children. So, Amo, how did you think it can be implemented in Africa?
by celebrating the African child the way he's supposed to be celebrated on this day, by teaching him about his rights, teaching him who he is, and that's education. And also another way is history, telling them about the history of Africa, telling them how Africa came to be, where Africa is coming from, and also you can celebrate them. Put up programs, school programs, events at home. As a parent, you can just take an off that day to sit down with your children and really discuss with them who they are. Put words of encouragement into them.
Yes. Alright, thank you very much. So madana masu kuna cikin shirin na yaran manyan gobe a kan mita 98.5 ranar yara na wato Africa, na nahiyar Africa kenan, wanda ake shi a ranar 16 ga watan Juni wannan shekara, ranar Laraba kenan da ya wuce. To a yau muna tattaunawa ne game da wannan rana, muhimmancin wannan rana ga rayuwar wato ƴaƴan Africa, da ma kuma mu san menene akai a wannan rana. To kamar yadda muke ji, an fara wato an yi wannan rana ne sakamakon zanga-zanga da ɗalibai suka fita a Soweto da jihar South Africa, yawa, wanda daga nan ne kuma sun fita su nuna wato kin amincewansu da irin rashin adalci
da aka yi musu a zamanin su din, rashin karatun su, da kuma ana nuna musu bambancin namiji da namiji,
yawa, wanda hakan sai ya janyo aka kakkashe wasu yara da dama suka ji ciwo. To hakan yasa wato aka ware wannan rana musamman
na yaran Afrika
domin tunawa da waɗannan gwarzaye da suka yi wannan abu, kuma wannan rana sai ya zamana kamar rana ne na tuni cewa yaron Afrika ma yana da dama.
Yes, and it's a day that gives us an avenue to reflect on the challenges faced by the African child, and also think about ideas on how to improve the current situation.
Right. Kuma wannan rana ne wanda zai zauna ya dubi da cewa menene matsalolin shi, wanda kuma ina ne mafita, ina ne hanyar da zai iya duba wannan matsaloli nashi, kamar yadda muka ji a tarihi ga waɗannan ɗalibai yara da abin ya faru da su, wanda har ya zama ana tunawa, to sun fita ne su nuna damuwansu, baƙin cikinsu, sai kuma haka ya faru, wanda kuma kin ga sanadiyar hakan yara sun samu voices, yara sun samu murya da za su fita su bayyana abin da yake damin su, yawa. To ɗaya daga cikin shirin nan da muke kuma muka ɗauko wannan maudu'i shine muna so yara su gane muhimmancin su, musamman yaran baƙaƙe, blacks kenan. Akwai ina baƙin mutum yake, baiwa ne daga Allah, in ce ko haka yake. To kada ku ji kamar in ce kaskanci ko kuma wani waye, a'a, kuma kuna da dama, kuma kuna da murya, kuma kuna da baiwa kala-kala, kuma kuna da damar ku yi ilimi, ku zamanto abu a cikin al'umma, ku taimaki kowa da kowa, abinda wato Madina da kuma Amo suke ilmantar da mu a yau a game da wannan rana. To kai tsaye zan buɗe muku layukan mu inda za ku shigo a cikin shirin namu, kamar yadda na faɗa tun da farko, wato layukan wayoyin namu su ne 0801612 967 wato 09016129967, sai kuma 08030754821, wato 08033075421. Kada ku manta kuna da damar da za ku shigo a cikin wannan shiri domin mu tattauna da ku a game da wannan rana na wato African Child. To Madina, a satin da ya gabata kin gabatar mana wani waka mai matukar muhimmanci, ko kuma in ce mai amfani kwarai, wanda waƙan nan ya taɓa ni sosai a matsayina na black person, a matsayina na 'yar nahiyar Africa. wannan waka da kika mana ina so ki sake mana tuni akai sannan mu sake tattaunawa akai duk da cewa ke kika shirya idean ki ne ki kika rubuta kika tsara to ina so ki ƙara mana waiwaye akan wannan waka. To amma kafin nan zaki haƙuri bari mu ɗaga kiran nan sai mu ɗaga. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. To ai haƙuri sai a ƙara kira bisa dukkan alama dai an samu wato kamar layin bai cika kyau ba. Wato lines are 09016129967 and 08030754821.
Da wa muke magana kuma daga wani anguwa? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
To ba ma ji sai kai haƙuri ka ƙara kira 09016129967 and 08030754821. Sifili tara sifili ɗaya shida ɗaya biyu tara tara shida bakwai. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Alright, coming back to you, Amo. You talked about that is heroes for the child. Who is a hero? If you can.
A hero is anyone who has set up a good example and someone who has lived great.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's why I said we must work hard to become constructive role models, mentors, and heroes in all areas of development, so that the children can have people to look up to.
Yeah. Hello.
Waƙan da na rera shine I am an African child, kenan ni ɗan Africa ne. Ni ɗan Africa, I am an African child. Black is my color. I live a life of fear as poverty is a close friend to us. I have a dream. Save me and let me be free to live my life as you did. Give me hope and see what the future will tell for me. I look around me. What I see is death, destruction, misery. Don't let me despair. Give up your hands. Give up your fight. Don't discriminate me. Don't forget my color. Never doubt my future. Affection and love is needed in my heart. I want a smile. I want a laughter. Save me, save a future.
Thank you very much. Well, I really love the poem, Madina. Okay, masaurare waɗanda Madina ta rera mana wato tana bayani ne game da wato yaro na Africa inda ta fara da cewa I'm an African child wato ni ɗan Africa ne. Sannan black is my color wato fatan mu baki ne haka yake. And I live a life of prayer as poverty is a close friend to us. Wato kullum yaron Africa a matsayina na yaron Africa kullum ina cikin tsoro kasancewa talauci ya zama kamar aboki a gare ni. I have a dream. Ina da mafarki. Save me and let me be free. Wato kin san kowane yaro yana da mafarkin shi kamata ambition, right? Yes. What I would like to become in the future. So wannan yaron Africa shi ma yana da wannan dream, shi ma yana da wannan ambition, shi ma yana da mafarki. Yes. Save me and let me be free. Wato yaron Africa yana cewa a kare shi haka yake. To live my life as you did. Wato yayi rayuwa cikin yanci haka yake a cikin yanci. Give me hope and see what the future will tell for me. Kamar wato ku bani fata mai kyau ko kuma haka yake idan aka yi fata mai kyau and see what the future will tell for me anan kuma za a zuba ido a ga menene rayuwa ya tare da dama yaron Africa yana neman dama yaron Africa yana neman a bashi hope shi ma yana da dream da yake so ya achieve so they need all this hope and I look around me and what I see is death. So idan ya juya yana ganin mutuwa ko ta ina
kamar yaron da aka kashe baban shi a gaban shi. Yaro dan karami ne fa yace dan Allah kar ku kashe babana yana siya min kaza kar ku kashe min babana haka suka yanka baban shi a gaban yaron. Yanzu yaron aka ya tashi a taɓe in ya samu mutum yana dukan mutane kowa yana tsoro har yanzu yana affecting din yaro haka kalli yaro yana zaune zina tu za su zo yana iwa ka
so it's one of the negative impacts of war on the child.
A gaban shi aka yanka baban shi ne gaban shi kuma yaro dan karami.
Well, seriously, honestly, the child's voice needs to be listened to.
Of course.
That's the importance of this children's parliament. It's a place where children have, as in, the confidence to be able to speak
what's on their mind.
Yes, what's on
without
their
any
mind.
restrictions.
Yes.
All right. So don't let me distract. Give up your arms. Give up your fight. Wato kada a bari wannan mafarkin nashi ya rushe ko kuma tsoro.
Yanzu kamar yaron da aka yanka mishi baban shi, ai yanzu bai da wani buri, kawai in ya girma ya kashe wanda suka kashe baban shi. Ai burin shi din.
So he will not be able to even find the people that killed him. That's why.
Yes, and they took away that dream.
Innocent people.
Yes.
Ya tashi yana kakkashe mutane wanda ba su san komai ba.
And they took over the dream he actually has from the
beginning.
Yes. Okay, and don't forget my color. Kada ku manta kala na wannan baki. A kullum muna cewa bakin mutum fa baiwa ne. Kada ku kalla turawa. Kuma baki yana da kyau. Kada ku kalla turawa ku ce mu za mu tafi America, mu ba mu san Nigeria, mu za mu tafi Turai, za mu je ina. You see all those foreign countries that are beautiful and safe. Nigeria will be safe one day.
And all these children that are saying, you see children today saying, if they grow up, then they are going to live in America and other states. These states have a history.
Okay.
They have where they are coming from, and it's because they are following where they are coming from. That's why they are where they are today.
Okay, thank you. Then affection and love is needed in my heart. Wato yaro a kudu shi yana buƙatar a saka mishi kulawa da soyayya a cikin zuciyarsa. Dan yaro ya tashi da ƙauna da kuma soyayya kuma yana ganin kulawa. To dole ne ya bi wanda suke kusa da shi, ba zai tashi da wannan wato mummunan hali ba. I want a smile. Kullum ya zama yana kasance cikin fara'a da farin ciki. And I want a laugh out. Shi ma yana bukata ya yi wannan dariya, ya ji daɗin da har zai dariya. Kisa mutum idan ya samu wato dama kuma ya samu yanayi mai kyau ne har zai yi dariya. So save me, save a future. Ku kare a 'yan Africa kuma ku kare rayukansu.
If you save a child today, you have reserved a better future. You have reserved a better tomorrow for the nation.
Okay, thank you very much. Ɗaya daga cikin abin da Amo ta bayyana mana cewa ta kamata yayi a koma a yi duba ga tarihin jihar Borno, tarihin Najeriya da kuma abubuwan da manyan mu suka yi a baya. Heroes da na tambaye ki akai kenan kamata ya a duba sannan a yi kwaikwayon su. Madina haka ita kuma ta bayyana mana cewa kamata yaro a koda yaushe a dinga bashi shawarwari, a janyo shi a jiki, kada a bar shi kadai. A bar shi a bashi hope, a bashi wannan fata kuma a nuna mishi cewa zai abin kirki. Mun gode kwarai. Bari mu ɗaga kira na ƙarshe duk da dai muna samun. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Okay, thank you very much for your time today in the show, and we hope next week we'll be here again with another interesting topic. Alright, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed our show together with Madina, Abdulkadir, and Amo H. Shaku. So next week, bye bye.